Welcome to Four Piece and a Pod, a podcast about friendship, quarter life crisis, and discovering life after music school. Every week, we talk about topics relating to music, adulting, and our own personal experiences. I'm your host, Andre. I'm with Izzy,
Hello.
Yanni,
Hi.
and Conch.
Hello.
All right, so today we're doing something, dare I say, different. We're going to be talking about arguably one of the most sensitive topics of our generation, and yet all the more very relevant and necessary. And I'm talking about mental health. More specifically, sharing about our struggles, our losses, sorry, wins, how we cope during these times, and if we didn't, and just the learning experiences of it all. And all of that and more in today's episode. But before we get into it, how has everyone been this week? Kumusta kayo?
I've had a splitting headache since this morning.
Oh no.
So, maybe a bad week.
I feel dead to be honest. I'm tired kasi may event kami, but
Same, Ren.
staying alive.
Yeah, I'm having a bad week too.
Oh,
So
Parang ang
perfect na
daming
mental health, no?
deadline na like may time akong gawin but hindi ko alam anong gagawin. So, parang andun lang yung never-ending stress na, oh my God, I don't know what to do.
Feeling ko din kasi June na. So, parang mid-year or mag-end na yung June. So, maybe like everyone's, I don't know, it feels like that. Maybe it's mid-year and everyone wants to turn into a new chapter. I don't know.
Probably.
Perfect for mental health.
I know. I mean, I was gonna say, talk about mental health and this week being heavy. Oof. Well, I guess I could say the same. This week hasn't really been that good for me. I mean, renovations have been going on here sa bahay namin, so I had to move out. And I started living sa sala namin.
From your room?
From a different house because
Oh,
that
yeah,
that
yeah,
house
yeah.
is yung ceiling
Okay.
pinapalitan.
Alam mo yung week na to is like parang everyday Monday.
I know!
Yes, that's how it
Parang
feels
hindi
nga.
umuusad or hindi nababawasan yung things that you need to get done. So weird. But hey, I think I'm better than Andre being a hobo.
Yes.
I don't like that it's like Monday and then suddenly parang nagpa-pop up na, oy, Friday na pala tapos meron ka na kailangan na i-pass or i-finish, 'di ba? Parang
Yeah.
Monday, yeah.
All right. I mean, what better way to segue than like speaking of long days and long weeks? Our college life seems like an entire long, what do you call that, Monday. So let's get into it. Like wins, losses. I think I'm gonna start by sharing how it was like during undergrad. You know, since we're doing mental health this week and everything relating to mental health. I feel like I entered the College of Music pretty parang, you know that feeling when you feel like since wala ka pang masyadong alam sa mundo, it's so convenient because because like you don't have to think about things. I feel like
Yeah.
that was me going into college.
I think I understand that. Like you're not really expecting any like
Yeah.
boom. You're like, oh, I'm
And I
gonna
mean,
enjoy this.
Or parang isa lang yung path mo talaga na parang iisip mo, okay, like mag-aaral lang ako, tapusin ko to, and then I'm gonna be an adult.
yes. Yes, thank you. Right? And I feel like going into the university, I thought it was just like a continuation. Kasi like we're still in school, continuation of what it feels like to be high school. But little did I know na college is gonna be that moment in your life din pala that you have to struggle with on top of academics like struggle with finances, you know, adulting, like reality will start kicking in, you have to do more responsibilities. And I think one of the greatest examples that I can share on that topic is that when my parents didn't expect me to go beyond 4 years sa pag-aaral ko, because you know most Filipino parents just expect you to finish in 4 years for your undergrad. And when that didn't happen in my case, because our program is 5 plus 1, 6 pa nga, and ako plus 1 pa ulit, 7, I was given like a friendly ultimatum na parang, oh, you have to start making money for yourself. And that was like in my senior year. So parang ako, like, I didn't know how that would go. So I started stressing na, I started having all these problems, like, where do I get money? Ganyan, ganyan. And you know, for a 20-year-old, Actually, I feel like that was the very first time that I sank into a very dark place. Kasi just because one is like I didn't want to burden my parents, and at the same time I didn't know how to cope with it. How do you find money when you're just still in school?
At that point, were you like having your own housing na rin? Tsaka, yeah, did you have to shoulder for your education?
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm thankful for, kasi my parents never really cut me off, but like they did definitely push me to earn money for myself. And sobrang thankful when you're in university housing, like dorms, kasi it's super 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 subsidized in a way. So that definitely helped me out a lot. And I'm pretty sure for most UP students then who were having a hard time with their housing, because as most of our listeners know, if you're staying in Metro Manila, the rent is not cheap. It's actually quite really expensive.
Did you stay in the condo?
I did, but that was okay, get this. That was after I started doing 4 part-time jobs already. That was like a year or 2 years after I started my first part-time job. Na I said na oh I could work naman pala. And then and I was also being kicked out of the dorm na rin because I was getting old. So I had to find a different place.
So did you say na parang nagka-advance experience ka about adulting or something? Something to that effect.
Oh, for sure. Housing, I just sorry, let me just focus on housing. Because housing is such a very big issue for most college kids then. Na parang it's one thing na you just focus on your studies, but like when you also have to think about where you're gonna live, it really puts things in perspective kasi one, like you have to know where you will get your rent. And if you're earning money for yourself, that means budgeting your food din. Kasi yung extra money mo sana dun, pwede mo pang ipandagdag to some other expenses. I guess for someone who's being thrown into that kind of arena early on, you can get easily discouraged. You really need good people around you to guide you then. I mean, I'm pretty sure our parents would be more than welcome to guide us through our finances. But if you don't have those kind of support, even those like parang mga ates, kuyas that you have, like, just ask anyone. Just ask anyone for help. Ayun yung natutunan ko with my finances during back in undergrad.
May instance ba na muntik ka ng like ma-throw out because of like inability to pay or may time ba na
Oh,
muntik ka ng hindi
yeah!
umabot sa rent?
Yeah, oh my gosh, yes, for sure. And ito pa, get this, and this was still when I was still in UP. Ayun pa yung malala. My rent was already subsidized and hindi pa rin ako nakakabayad. My family was having a hard time then during that time. This was during nung time namin, na hindi pa rin covered ng UP, ng government fully yung tuition fees natin, right? Because recently lang yun eh. During our like later years na lang din yata yun eh. During that time, we were still paying tuition fees, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was paying tuition fee on top of that. And if we're being honest, studying music isn't really cheap then at all.
That's true. That's very true.
So I think my longest streak was like 3 months. I wasn't able to pay for 3 months. And alam mo yun, yung pressure of seeing your dorm managers. And they didn't even have to say anything. Parang they just had to makakasalubong ko
Show up.
sila and yeah, and stare at me and I already know what it was about. So it kind of puts you off kasi parang oh, I have to think about my pag-aaral, my studies, and now I have to think about this, ganyan, ganyan, ganyan pa. And that's on top of all the other things that you could have problems pa with. That's one of my greatest hurdles back in undergrad, and like doing part-time job really is one of the things that helped me through it. It's good if you know how to hustle, alam mo yun. I mean, it's good then if you don't need it kasi that means you're well provided for. But alam mo yun, I mean, you make do with what you have, right? You make do with
Yeah.
your circumstances.
I think with me, in contrast to Andre's situation, I was lucky enough. I recognized that privilege na my parents were really supportive and I
I would
didn't
say
have
the
that
same.
certain pressure. Although, they knew naman na 5 years ako, pero I didn't have that real pressure na, oh, you have to finish as in agad-agad, ganun, because you have to provide for yourself. Although I did finish naman within the 5 years, parang thank God. Pero that's one of the things that really helped me, I'd say, cope and not really be stressed in terms of studying. And I would say na people like me or even students like me are very, I would really say na very lucky and privileged to have that certain type of support. And I think one of the things though that was really ingrained sa akin ng parents ko rin. And I think that's one of the reasons na I was able to finish Rent. For personally for me, iba-iba naman for people. On time was, I think I focused myself na, okay, I want to finish this because I don't want to disappoint my parents even without that pressure. And then it was ingrained in me na you have to focus. And that's why I chose na hindi ako extracurricular, like orgs, ganun. Kasi personally ako, I didn't find the need for it. Although for other people, it really does benefit them. But I think one big thing that really helps people in general university is when they have a good support system.
That's true. That's true. Mine's like a little bit opposite yours. Like as much as I wanted to be like you and finish my studies in 5 years, I couldn't. It was one of the things that I struggled siguro at like the start of my college years. Kasi I had the same mindset. I wanted to finish school within the 5 years. Because that's how I grew up with, like, being in a high school and yeah, that kind of school, well, my school na parang I was doing well. I wasn't getting low grades. I was doing fine. I was used to na I'm in a class with people who are considered star six sa amin that time. So parang going into college, I was like, it's just gonna be like high school. I'll finish it. Ganon. And then here comes the bump na by like second sem of my first year, I had to face the truth na I wasn't gonna take my final exam that semester because I didn't finish my repertoire for that sem or for that year. Kasi ganun sa college natin, di ba? Parang you have to finish certain requirements. And then for us, piano majors, it was to play your pieces. But I was struggling pa nga. I mean, I've mentioned this before with reading, and that really like was a huge block on me. And being like first year and getting that, talk from my prof na, oh, it's normal if you don't finish your your degree within the 5 years because it's not like you can perform something half only. It was like a huge like, oh, what do I do? And I struggled with that thought, not just not just at the start, hanggang sa natapos ko yung degree ko. So like yun, it was a weird moment or time na parang we were trying to I was trying to do my best and finish everything. But with the thought na, hey, you're not even going to finish it naman din within the 5 years. So what am I going to do? So parang that's what I was constantly facing during my undergrad years. And then eventually I just had to accept it and see how it was na. Parang ganun. Just see how things are.
Ako, honestly, I guess I'm kind of different from Izzy naman. I wanted to like join a lot of orgs and interact with different people kasi honestly, I feel more stressed kapag 24/7 yung environment ko, music, and lahat ng support friends, you call them support friends, panay music. And it doesn't really work for me kasi even if we're not doing anything na ACADS related, just being with music people 24/7 makes you feel na, oh my god, you're supposed to be practicing right now, you're supposed to be composing right now, which is really toxic for me. So I was lucky enough na meron akong, I don't really know how many orgs I have, but honestly, hindi naman lahat nakatulong sa akin. I think Conemos is an exception na kahit music org siya, parang it helped me a lot na para lahat kayo same yung struggles, na lahat kayo nagsasuffer from not being able to, yung para every week, diba, you have a set of composition that you need to do. Siguro yung iba, kailangan maka 5 minutes per week, 10 minutes per week. And there came a point in time na ako negative like 0. Tapos, mababawasan pa. So, I'm gonna start this week na, okay, I did 5 minutes of work. Piyesa ha, hindi yung 5 minutes lang ako nagtrabaho. I did a 5-minute work this week. Tapos tignan mo by next week, 0 na siya, as in 0 bars. Because I have the tendency na parang, I don't know why I did this, na sobrang pangit niya. Pero I hate having to force myself to write because napansin ko na when I force myself to write, I produce the ugliest work there is. So, hindi talaga ako satisfied. And I think that's the biggest struggle I had as an undergrad. Yung inability to produce output. Lalo kapag
Under
nakasalubong mo yung
pressure.
prof mo sa hallway. It's literally a hide and seek scenario for a lot of, well, alam ko hindi lang compo students.
Yeah. I can vouch for a lot of people who were like, "Uy, wag mo sabihin nandito ako. Okay,
Tago-tagoan,
ganito."
gano'n.
Na-experience nyo na ba
Amen
yung
to
alam mo
that.
na kung saan dumadaan yung prof mo, alam mo na yung schedule ng prof mo because you're
Memorize mo
really
yung
not
ruta.
prepared?
Ako naman feeling ko yung struggle ko is not really in terms of support or anything. I think it was yung identity crisis ko na, is this really for me? Which I think is
Yes.
it's a common trend din naman in music na, syempre, di ba pagpasok mo, feeling mo, this is for me. Because like, I'm the cream of the crop na I got to pass out of all those who auditioned. And the audition is really difficult. But in hindsight, it's really not that difficult. Pero, I think yung pinaka-struggle ko was also same with Conch na second sem first year ako nun. Especially yung prof ko kasi nun sa major was a handful. That's what I would say. 'Di ba I said in the previous episode na originally I was a guitarist talaga, so I was thinking of auditioning for guitar, but I didn't really push through with that kasi nga extension program ko. So, when I finished yung first sem ko, naalala ko talaga yun, and that really effed me up nung end of the sem was when my prof in my major said na, when I submitted my piece, my final piece, sabi niya, "Oh, yeah, I checked your piece and honestly, it's really just crap, so you can just throw it away." Tapos parang,
Ouch!
Yanni, you know this.
I mean, yung ako naman yung experience ko, oh my God, transparency. Like, na-experience ko yun, but not towards the end of the sem. Usually, pag end of the sem na, pulido na eh. Though I
Yun nga
got,
eh.
that this is too cliche moment mid-sem, and that really messed up. Kaya, ewan ko, masyado ko sineryoso yung comment to the point na ilang sem akong na-delay sa thesis. That was the comment. It was too cliche. And the question was, do you really want to make it sound like this? So, parang masyado ko siyang dinamdam.
Isn't that like the struggle of being like in a subject that's very subjective? Sorry. That I mean, whatever this is, like being in music, and everything's like it depends on what they think and not necessarily what it can be based on. But at the same time, it's like the beauty of it too.
Yeah, I think generally in a creative setup or in a creative course, parang there's always obviously those struggles are always gonna arise. But it was really a shock to me lang. Siyempre, first year ka, freshie ka, parang excited ka na finally nakatapos ka ng first requirement mo for your major. Tapos the whole sem, parang he was okay with it in general, and parang he would give me comments, ganyan, ganyan. Tapos pagpasa mo, parang yun yung sabihin, and I remember this clearly kasi we were sitting in the annex building hallway, second floor. Doon kami nag-lesson sa labas ng hallway. Nakaupo lang kami sa sahig. Tapos yun nga, tinignan niya. Tapos sabi niya, "Oh, well, this is like crap lang, but just like pass it for the sake of passing it." Ako like, what? Sobrang sakit. Alam mo yung parang uuwi ka na, parang excited ka tapos na yung sem, tapos you feel so accomplished, and then ito yung bubulaga sa'yo. So, I really had the crisis noon time na yun na parang, is this really for me? And then, I was really thriving in my minor sa guitar ko. Tapos, may requirement din ako kasi sa guitar na minor sa guitar na I have to compose also for guitar. And my prof there was really like, encouraging, and he would really give comments na maa-apply ko talaga at least sa guitar composition. So parang I was telling my parents na, tama ba 'tong pinasok ko? Dapat ba ako mag-switch to guitar or something?
I have a very similar like situation because like that time that I was gonna get I was being told na parang it's okay to be late, ganun ganun. I was taking minor in voice. And then my prof went in the room where I was having majors to talk to my prof. And then nabalitaan niya sa prof ko na, "Uy, alam mo ba si Conch? Magaling siya. Okay siya." And then when the voice my voice prof left, my teacher, I remember, I don't know if she recalls, I hope not, I don't know. She said, pwede ka rin naman pala mag-voice eh. And then I was like, what's that supposed to mean?
It means you're very well-rounded as a musician.
In response to all of those, could I just say that I think it's very evident in the creatives field sa atin that, one word could easily make or break us. And honestly, yeah, it's sad because as what Belle said or Conch said earlier, the problem with these kinds of programs, it's just very subjective. Like imagine like your identity resting solely in the words of one person, because you have to work with that person for your entire, like, building your musical identity, or like music building your parang your character, 'di ba, as a musician. Tapos and then you hear these things, you hear I mean, this is okay, don't come for me. I'm talking about this in a general sense, right? Na parang because I've experienced it myself, na parang for one professor you're good, for another professor you're doing something else. And like where do you see yourself? I think part of why I was so effed up then during undergrad was hearing all these comments, like hearing positive feedback from certain people that have great influence over you, not just professors, okay? Not just professors. Maybe people in big creative scenes then. And then at the same time, you hear these also very important people saying na your craft could still do, for a lack of better word, your craft could still do better, ganyan, ganyan. And like where do you put yourself, 'di ba? What happens is magkaka-identity crisis ka nga talaga, or like you end up losing sleep thinking if you chose the right career, because again, one, it's not cheap being in this program. Second, third year, fourth year into the program, tapos magre-recital ka na lang, sasabihin pa sa'yo na, di ba? I mean, for whatever those comments are. I'm not sure if you guys experience that, but, for some it's a reality.
I think nag-end na yung identity crisis ko nung after second year. Kasi for second sem na first year and for my whole entire second year, I stick with that prof. And I was telling myself na baka nga ako yung may problema. I mean, baka naman I'm just a freshman, so maybe there's room for improvement or something. But it seemed like for every sem, it got worse. And I got a lower grade every sem. As in, minus 0.25 every sem. Which is obviously, grades are just numbers. That's what people would say. But like, syempre, yun pa rin yung basis mo, di ba? For your improvement or at least yung excellency ng craft mo, ganyan. So, parang ako sabi ko, parang hindi na ata tama to. Or, as a prof then, I feel meron din namang responsibility, whichever prof or any prof, kahit GE pa yan, na tulungan din yung student to improve.
Definitely.
I just felt na parang I'm not really gaining anything in terms of improving, at least man lang. I was really depressed nung second year ko kasi nga I was really confused na tama ba yung pinasok ko ng program, and there's like 3 more years of this na, na I'm going to have to suffer through it. Parang sabi ko, okay, sige, I'll try changing profs. And then I think it depends on sa student talaga. For some people, yung new prof ko doesn't work for them. For some people, my old prof really works for them. So, I think that's one of the reason na you have to find the right teacher for you, and especially in the arts. Kasi parang yun talaga yung shape sa, how you create and how you're able to, give good output yun siguro. So, maybe yun yung one way of coping ko na tinanggap ko na okay, hindi talaga kami compatible. So maybe I'll try someone else. That's one of the ways na acceptance was one of the ways.
I would agree. Kasi parang sa akin, it wasn't that I cannot play. It's just that I can't learn pieces quick. And so like I had this sem na we were supposed to take ensemble class, which is basically us playing either four hands, so two people on one piano, or two pianos, so duets, like that kind of pieces, ensemble. At the start, our prof in that class gave us a piece to play. And then I looked at it and I was like, hala, paano ko to matatapos in one sem? It's like what? A thick book kasi isang buong piece siya. I didn't know what to do. As in like I would come to class for like the first weeks, and then the prof would tell me, mag-practice ka naman type of thing. And then I was like, sir, nagpa-practice po ako. Hindi ko lang po talaga siya mabasa. to the point na at one point, I started crying. Naluha ako. I don't like crying in front of people, pero naluha ako. Tapos, sabi niya, bakit? Tapos, sabi ko, sir, hindi ko po siya mabasa. And then, sabi niya, maghanap ka ng piece na kaya mo. Tapos, pakita mo sa akin kung pwede. So, I looked for a piece, and it was simple enough for me to read. But, the problem with that piece was that he said na, it's too simple. How are you gonna make music? Like, shape it. But I guess, I told him, sir, kaya ko po. Basta, ito yung piece. And then, ayun, I finished that sem with a 1 because I chose something that I could do in my level of reading. And eventually, I proved na parang, kaya ko naman pala in that kind of way. And that kind of like took out the idea na, yeah, I may be finishing in like 6 years or more, but maybe I'm just needing more time to train. So, same idea of like acceptance.
I think buti nga sa'yo pinayagan ka mag-change piece eh. I think for compo, anong equivalent nun, Izzy? Change instrumentation? Ganun.
Change instrumentation, change concept.
Hindi kasi siya major
change
eh.
lahat.
Pero yun, for compo, I think the harshest comment I've gotten is, well, non-verbatim, pero parang nasabihan ako na ang tamad ko and I have to take things seriously. Pero on my end kasi, parang I'm doing what I could. And as a freshie yata ako nun or second year, I had to admit na, girl, ang bagal, hindi ako kasing open as I was during my third year onwards. Ang bagal ko mag-adjust. And ang tagal before I started to learn how to appreciate contemporary music. So it was really a learning curve for me. So no, I think first year or second year, may time, ang kwento nun kasi, parang hindi ako nakapag-majors that week. But I was working sa library and then pumasok yung prof ko sa majors. And then, the following week, when I did show na my work, ayun yung nag-comment siya na, seryosohin mo na kasi. And parang sa akin, I was doing everything I could. Nahihirapan lang talaga ako to produce what you want me to do because, one, parang 17 years old pa lang at ako noon. Sobrang immature ko pa mag-isip. So, hindi talaga nagsisink in sa akin yung mga concepts that I would want to work with. And, girl, ang hirap noon. I remember walking home kasi na bad trip lang talaga ako with that comment. So, parang I just need to like steam off. Kaya nilakad ko yun pa uwi. Kahit sobrang tanghaling tapat ata yun eh. That was gross. And for my minor, mahirap din. Yung first year, first sem, it was pretty hard to the point na I hated it. Kasi na-realize ko na years of me doing extension program for violin, na-realize ko na ang dami kong mali na kailangan ko i-unlearn. And I have to say that my prof was very strict. And napansin kong strict siya if first sem mo sa kanya because she'll really do her best to fix kung ano yung mga natutunan mo na before na mali. So, parang ang harsh nun kasi parang every week, nafe-feel ko na, oh my God, wala na akong ginawang tama, lahat na lang mali, intonation mali, paghawak ng bow mali. And ang hirap kasi pag ganun ka na tumugtog for how many years, parang ang tagal din before you get to unlearn all these things. Pero, medyo thankful naman ako because nung second sem first year, everything was okay na with my minor. Yung major medyo matagal talaga. Parang, I think third year na ako when I finally got the hang of writing. Mas enjoy ko pa rin yung minor ko.
Same time situation, Yanni. I really enjoyed it. In fact, I was so sad when my minor ended rin. Kasi the prof there was really caring and really supportive. Maybe we're that desperate for care. Where we latch on
Nag-extra
to
ko.
anything.
I think nag-extra ko ng 1 year eh. 1 year worth of minor. Tapos baliktad. Sa major, medyo hindi ako natutuwa na china-challenge ako. So, ayokong i-face kapag masyadong mahirap yung pinapagawa. Pero pag minor, for some reason, kapag masyadong mahirap yung pyesa na binibigay sa akin, parang mas G ako. Parang mas game on, challenge accepted.
Mas natutuwa ako na I'm able to produce that sound from my minor lang.
Siguro kasi 'di ba may sense of progress.
Oo, sense of progress
and like sa
and
major na
say,
parang
sense of
wala.
achievement.
Syempre dun tayo naghanap sa minor, hindi sa major.
We just need that validation.
Which makes me wonder, paano pag ganun yung pagbaliktad? I mean, paano pag mas nurturing yung major ko? Would I be better right now?
I think it was really also a lack of certain communication from the profs. Because that's what I noticed na maybe if we were just able to be comfortable and communicate talaga with them, which is what the program really promotes, I think. Kasi one-on-one siya eh. So, dapat ganun. Dapat meron kang certain relationship with the prof that you're partnered with. But it doesn't seem na it's happening. There are lucky students talaga na nagkaganon relationship. Although with me, I think for my quote-unquote thesis prof or yung 3 years sa prof ko, I really had that relationship with him. And until now, I'm able to seek guidance from him. But for some majors, hindi talaga siya nangyayari. And I think that's very unfortunate.
Yeah. I think in my case, it's not that my prof wasn't supportive of me. It's more of sometimes I do think na maybe the path that I saw myself in was so different from the path that they saw me in. So they would support me in a different way, but it's not necessarily the support that I wished would be. I just wanted to share na parang one of the things lang that helped me most when I was in college dealing with all this was having my group of friends. I mean, I had a lot of different groups and like you guys were there and then we would like talk about these things. I also had like of course my department people just like kayo with Conemos, 'di ba, in the compo. Sa amin with Tiklado. Sometimes there are people na we just went to like, "Hey, punta tayo sa car. Drive lang tayo sa UP." Tapos iyak natin sa kotse. Ganun kami the whole time. So, ayun, that's our life. We're just gonna sit there in the car, punta kami math, tapos umiiyak na kami sa car talking about major.
Parang wala
Oh
naman
my
akong
gosh,
ganyang
that's so sad.
experience.
It was sad, but at the same time, it was like nice.
I'm gonna share something that I feel like most people need to understand, lalo na since we're talking about mental health, and this is in the context of the, as music majors. Don't you think it's crazy how everything could become so personal real quick? With the kind of the environment that we have, no, I think it's very important yung mention ni Izzy kanina. Yung communication, teaching method specifically nung each teachers with their students, super, super important. And the bigger question is, yung long-term effect of these things kasi, they don't really show siguro sabihin natin while students are in their undergrad eh. But say for example, when they get out, you don't know na parang yung one semester pala ng student sa'yo literally crashed their confidence or literally crashed their soul. Or parang, these students might be thinking of doing something after college that they're not considering anymore simply because of one specific comment. And these are all very personal. And hindi mo to maaalis na fact because this is a fact of our environment sa college natin and in the specific type of college and programs that we have. Kasi katulad ni Yanni, ni Conch, ni Izzy, you guys have been working with very specific people for your majors. I mean, fortunately kami, we didn't really needed that kind of guidance until nung thesis year na lang talaga namin. I mean, we were literally all over the place, working with different profs, ganyan-ganyan. But I guess I could say that the struggle has also been real na when something becomes too personal. No, parang it really affects you so much. Like literally your pagkatao mo, yung musicianship mo, like everything ka-questionin mo na just because one thing became too personal.
I think with yung mga situation, mga types namin na parang one-on-one yung mentorship, very sensitive din kasi yung times na okay, kaka-graduate mo lang na high school, tas you're thrown into this college life thing na parang people are expecting you to quote-unquote adult. Tapos, syempre, you have your mentor to look up to and you feel na parang yun yung mag-guide sa'yo, siya yung mag-guide sa'yo. And then when they say things like that, especially in your first few years, you're really parang bine-breakdown ka talaga nun. I don't know if we're just softies or anything, pero feeling ko naman hindi. Kasi it's not as if tayo lang yung naka-experience ng ganito. And I don't know then if the teaching methods are dated. Maybe we should really all just form this certain communication thing and like review our teaching methods rin. Hindi ko din alam kung ganito na ba since the 1980s or the 1970s, which I heard na gano'n naman ata. And with that, I think what helped me cope lang talaga with this whole situation and all this fiasco, no, second and first year ko was one, like I quickly accepted na to be able to finish 5 years kasi I really wanted to finish kasi I realized na I couldn't stay longer in this hellhole. Parang gano'n na if I stayed any longer, I would go crazy. So, ang nangyari sa akin, I was just accepting the fact na, okay, I would pass my compositions, for example, tapos tatanggapin ko na, okay, this is not the best na I could still improve, but for the sake of finishing this, tapos, okay naman siya, but it's not like my best work, I would just pass it. Tapos, hindi naman mababa yung grades ko, okay lang naman nung third year to fifth year. Tapos the next was like, I accepted the fact na I wasn't really purely learning how to write music. This is not the only reason why I'm here. I'm here because college is teaching me how to be an adult. And I think that's one of the things that really helped me cope na, okay, when I finish this, I'll have learned so many things on how to be an adult and not just how to create music and how to be creative, ganyan, ganyan. It was really like preparing me to adulthood.
I think one of the things that helped me, similar to Conch, is basically just surrounding yourself with not just with good people, like important that you surround yourself with the right people. Again, like similar to Conch na I have many circle of friends then back in, well, not many, like I have different circle of friends back in college. And even, I mean, that high school friends that stayed with me. Specifically for me in my department and my struggles within the department, it helped a lot that there was a very good bond between me and my batchmates. Shout out to MUED 2013. I love you guys. Every time that someone struggled, we come to that person's aid. Parang, okay, what do you need? What else is lacking in your lesson plans? Or what else do you need for this? Or kung may turo siya, parang, do you need extra hand for that? And whenever someone gets a bad critique, we like try to rally along that person and try to really evaluate kung ano bang nangyari, ganyan. Because, it's true that it can get difficult hearing certain critiques, lalo na kapag you're in this kind of environment. But surrounding yourself with the right people will make it less painful. And it definitely helps a lot. I'm giving credit so much dun sa mga night outs natin. I mean tayo, like sa bahay ni Izzy. As breather talaga. Yung mapag-usapan lang natin yung mga problems natin, knowing that hindi lang ikaw yung nagsa-struggle. Regardless if it's on the same level or like on a same topic, different topic. Just knowing that your friends are also going through a lot and that you're there for each other. That helped me so much go through yung undergrad. All those Christmas baking stuff. And I credit all those like coping up ko during college.
Ako kasi weird yung coping mechanism ko. Generally, I would say na, yon, nights out. Like, just eating out. Kahit area 2 lang yan, it helps a lot. But generally speaking, what helps me kapag ganito is doing something productive. Na it doesn't have to be compo-related, but I just need that small sense of achieving something or getting something done. So, actually, sakit ko pa rin yun until now. I feel weird or na medyo na-agit ako or I hate the feeling na wala akong na-achieve everyday. Ganun ako everyday. Kailangan meron akong nagawa today, kailangan tomorrow may magawa ako. And kahit hindi ko magawa matapos yung mga deadline na I'm trying to finish, that small sense of achievement goes a long way for me.
I feel like hindi ka marunong mag-rest, Yanni.
Yeah.
Maybe the right word is you feel guilty.
Hindi. Ayoko lang na kapag wala akong ginagawa, parang nag-overthink ako.
You don't want to be left with your thoughts.
Yeah, exactly. So let's just drown it out. I mean, it's a bad way of coping, but
If it
whatever
works, it works.
Relate ako din sa yung you want a sense of achievement in that way. Except mine was weird kasi like in my ending years in the college where it's like third year to fifth year, every year, di ba may recital? And I'm like struggling. Except for my second recital. That recital, I accepted how it's gonna be. But because I chose everything and I knew I was gonna enjoy it because it's pieces that I like, I didn't care na about the result. It was more of, I'm gonna be playing this because I'm putting myself in it. And that, for me, made me happy. But the other times na I was struggling, that sense of achievement thing, I would like do 1,500 puzzle pieces in 2 to 3 days. And I did like around 3 because I was like
Wow.
dying inside. So like I was like, I'm gonna wake up today. I'm gonna finish this part. And that's what I did.
That's
I don't
so
know why.
intense.
Yeah, just to cope.
That's a good way of coping though, or yung parang
It's
matutuhog mo
not
yung sense
smart
of
though.
but it's like a good way na parang you're left to your own to yourself lang, pero at
Yeah.
least may sense of achievement ka pa
Because
rin.
I wasn't gonna be thinking about anything except for like finishing the puzzle. This part goes with this. Para lang to get my mind off of the struggles, what I was facing. That definitely helped.
You know how they say that as performers or, as creatives, we're our own like worst critics. There were moments that when all else fails and everything has been said and done, literally the only thing that you have to do to move forward is to be kinder to yourself. Do you have those moments when you're super low na talaga and like, I don't know, maybe ako kasi like I have so much expectations of myself coming into the College of Music, and then when everything's not, going as planned, and then I just realized na sarili ko lang pala talaga yung attend. I mean, it's not wrong to reach for greatness and stuff like that, but at the same time, it's also important that in your feet in your a journey to go there na you be kind to yourself. Kasi I feel like most of the time we forget to be kinder to ourselves. Ewan ko kung totoo yung sinasabi ni Belle, pero Yanni, like, like reminding yourself to rest when you need to, those moments. But also, parang this is me reminding everyone then na if you're struggling with anything at all, because since we're talking about mental health, seeking professional help is also very, 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 very much encouraged.
I think one of the main takeaways natin from this episode is a good support system is one of the biggest help, whether it's your family, whether it's your friends, whether it's a good professor. I think that's one of the things that will really help you cope. Not just in college, even after you're graduating, whenever you have that good support system, try to keep them and also support them. Para naman hindi pa na take ka lang. Another one is discovering and knowing yourself and parang what's good for you and what you deserve rin. And this is also in the lines of deciding na, okay, this is not for me. Especially for college, if you think about it na, you can always shift. Don't ever think na, okay, nagsayang na ako ng ilang years, ganun. So, this is in terms of yung direction or path mo na, okay, kung ito talaga for me, sige, I'll stick with it. If it's not, then I'll decide to transfer or to shift. Lastly, I think it's just knowing what you're getting into. So, if you're able to really research and to ask people or just ask around na what is this I'm getting into. And I think this really applies to yung mga arts na courses rin na you have to understand that it's a very subjective environment and you'll really encounter different types of people. And always remember then you're doing this for yourself, not for anybody else. And I think that's a good way to end this episode. And we will move forward to the song of the week, which Yanni will be giving us this week.
So, what I chose for this week's Song of the Week is very much related to our topic. I chose Avicii's Peace of Mind. And it's very timely for this week's topic because it basically, hello, title says it all. Peace of mind. We all need it. Swear, pakinggan nyo siya, nakaka-good vibes. And it basically, it's the type of song which reminds you to take it easy. And take it slow. So if you get a chance, do listen to it. We'll have it linked when we post this episode. As always, you may reach us at fourpieceandapod@gmail.com. Of course, we'll have this linked on our YT channel, so don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. If you don't feel like watching us, for some ungodly reasons, you can also heart and follow us on Spotify. With that, I am Yanni, and together with Andre, Conch, and Izzy, we thank you for flying with Philippine Airlines. Charot! Thanks for listening to Four Piece and a Pod.
Bye.
Bye, guys. See you next week.
Goodbye.